Blog Talk Radio.
Oh, it's time to be real. Oh, yeah. It's a new experience. Spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one, man. Spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby. Spirituality. Oh, now we get real. Get down. Yeah, you gonna feel good now. Real good. That's what I'm talking about.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Reality Spirituality. I'm your host, Rebecca Lynn Norrington, and thank you so much for being part of the show. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting Reality Spirituality. Oh, my goodness, in August it will be, it's about 5.5 years since I've been doing a radio show, and it seems like 5.5 years. But I wanted to share with my new listeners, bear with me, what the show is about. Reality Spirituality Radio is a show about how to experience more internal peace, more happiness, more contentment in your life, in your everyday moment by moments. It's really not about achieving a goal and then I'll be happy, or accomplishing something then I'll be happy, having intentions to be happy. It's really about strategies, tools, and behaviors that you can practice on a daily basis, not only daily, in every minute. You can practice because in every minute, in every moment, you are either doing one of two things. You are adding to your happiness, or you're let's see, I guess you could be doing three things. Adding to your happiness, subtracting from your happiness, and or sleeping. Sleeping. And the reason why it's such an important topic, it's funny, I got a phone call from my son a couple of days ago. Oh gosh, my king number one, only one son called me. And this was the first thing out of his mouth. He said, "Mom, I have to tell you," he just turned 31 last Sunday. "Mom, I have to tell you that you've been right. All these years of sharing and saying that the number one thing, the number one goal, the number one is to have this internal peace." He called it internal peace over any kind of priority, over any kind of want, over any kind of other desire or want, is to have internal peace. And I said it all the time, like that was it, and it is it for me. And so finally this kid is on the bandwagon, he's on the train too, and realizes, especially at his age, with all of the things that he felt he was supposed to do, he felt like he was supposed to accomplish, what job he was supposed to have, what he was supposed to be doing in his life at this age. And then he said, it really doesn't matter if I have no internal peace. So we had a conversation about that, about what is internal peace and the importance of it. And what he shared was, if I accomplish whatever I want, in other words, because he went to NYU for theater, and so he's an entertainer. Go figure. He's an entertainer. He sings, he dances, he acts, but without any internal peace, what good would that be? And I have to say that it was very, very satisfying. Not that he agrees with me, that's not it, because there are a lot of people that would not agree with internal peace as the number one accomplishment, which is fine, but that he gets that and is on that search at 31, I don't know about you, my dear audience, but at 31, I was still thinking that it was important what I did. It was important what I accomplished. It was really important of, the titles at the end of my name. That was really important. And to be 31. Now, this is the thing that really got me with this conversation that I had with my son. If you listen to last week's show, Nathan was talking about shedding who he is not. And it really is a shedding. It is a moment by moment realization of, is this really me or is this programmed me? And today's topic is going to be it is about death and happiness. And the reason why I bring that up is because everybody experiences death, the death of a loved one, the death of a friend, the death of maybe even a world figure. And the topic of death is inevitable. I mean, experiencing death is inevitable. Regardless of who you are, you will experience it or experience someone that you really care about. Before I go on with that, I want to just share with my listeners that you are welcome to call in at area code 646-564-9619. Again, area code 646-564-9619, and just press number 1 if you'd like to speak to me about this, or if you have any other questions or any other comments you'd like to make. This show is open to any and all of my audience. And I just want to also, because I wait till the last minute, not the last minute, but till the end of the show to give you my information, you can find me at RebeccaNorrington.com. That's RebeccaNorrington. And you can email me at info@RebeccaNorrington.com. Follow me on Twitter at RL Norrington, and then also Reality Spirituality has a Facebook page titled Reality Spirituality. Okay, with all that said, let's get back to death. And the reason I teach a class, The Importance of Happiness, every week at the Arcadia Recreation Community Center. And this week, one of my students came to me, and she was talking about a dear friend of hers. And she said that this friend was given 1 week to live. This was last week. She said, this was just this past Thursday. So she's telling me the story on Thursday, that her friend was given 1 week to live. And this is probably the 8th week. Yeah, this is the 8th session. There's 11 sessions in the course. And this is the 8th session. So she's very familiar with what I teach and what I share, which is, let me just get back to this point as far as having addictions. And we're talked about the addictions that no one talks about, no one even knows about. And this is the addictions that coincide with or align with being happy or being unhappy. And there is an addiction to being right. There is an addiction to complaining. There is an addiction to being negative. There is addiction to focusing on other people. There is an addiction to judging other people, addiction to judging self, and addictions to comparing yourself to other people. I have to say that, I've compared myself to Oprah Winfrey a few times and asked the question, what the hell's going on, universe? Come on now. I can be out there, and I can be an example of what it is to be connected and aligned to the universe. I mean, there's room for me and Oprah, right? But the comparison, I can still feel that. And so all of those addictions, quote addictions, subtract from your happiness. But let me say something else that she brought up, because I talked about being addicted to sadness or being sad, looking at the world and feeling sad, or a situation and feeling sad. And so she brought this topic up about her friend having 1 week to die and how she was feeling really sad about it, and then asked me the $1 million question, hey, Rebecca, what do I do? And after, I want to say that everybody is different, of course. Every star is different. Every tree is different. Every individual is different. And what I like to talk about is not what I think is right and or wrong, but to share another perspective or another way to choose your emotions or choosing other emotions. Because quite frankly, choosing the emotion of sadness, and it is a choice, when you really get down to it, it is a choice that we've learned that we've been programmed to choose during times of the biggest challenge. One of the biggest challenges, I would say, is somebody close to you dying. So she asked me that question, and she said, Rebecca, I've just been really, as soon as I have heard the news, I've been very, very sad, feeling very sad. And I asked her, I said, well, have you had a chance to visit her? And she says, yes, I did visit her, and I felt overwhelmingly sad. Now, she also said that she was able to have conversations with her friend. They even were able to laugh. But she came with that question about being sad with facing death of a loved one. And I took a few deep breaths, and I remembered my own father's, well, not only my own father's death, but the death of my grandparents and the death of friends and the death of coworkers, even coworkers' parents. So I've been to a few funerals, and I wrote in my book, my first book, RealitySpirituality: The Truth About Happiness. I think it's a collector's item now. I don't think it's being printed again, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I wrote about death and happiness, and one of the stories I want to share today is that there is a very student of mine who used to be in one of my aerobics classes, and she was in the class for maybe 10 years, and she had breast cancer, and she beat it, and then it came back. And finally, the breast cancer took her life, and she was probably in her maybe mid-50s. And so, of course, since I've known her for so long, and I really didn't know her family, but I knew her and a lot of us from the gym that I was teaching for 10 years, went to her service. Now, I did know that she had an only child. She had a daughter. And I remember sitting at the service of this woman that I've known in my class, and we went through all of this highs and lows when she first had breast cancer, and she came back to the gym, and she started exercising again, and then finally when the breast cancer took her life. So I've been with her on that journey, of course not intimately, but knowing of it and supporting her. And when I went to the service, her only daughter, she only had one child, was sitting in the front row. Oh, and I want to say that this woman was a head librarian at this very affluent community close to where I live. She was the head librarian. There was a brand new library just built and just finished the same year that she died, maybe about 6 to 7 months before she died. And so the service, quite fittingly, was at the beautiful, beautiful library, brand new, and she was actually there for the opening ceremony. That was one of her last things that she really wanted to she said it, wait for. And so I'm at the service, and her only daughter was sitting in the front row. And her only daughter was just crying, head down in her lap, and not only crying, just wailing. And sometimes when people were speaking, she screamed out. She was just frantic. She was to the point of she could not be consoled. Her father sat next to her, he put his arms around her, but to no avail. She was expressing so much sadness, so much hurt, so much pain. You could just feel it, and there was no way that this girl, and she was probably in her mid-20s, was able to be at peace or just to be accepting it. It didn't feel like she accepted the fact, even though she was with her mother going through the stages, the first breast cancer, and then the recovery, and then the 2 years later, and then the second breast cancer. So she was with her mother during all of this time, and yet she was just still so distraught. And I remember thinking that, oh my God, I went straight to my own son's life and journey. I mean, he's an only child. I'm going to die one of these days, and I'm going to die one of these days. And I remember thinking that I did not want my son to have to experience my death the same way this young woman did. Now, I have no control over how my son reacts or what he thinks about when I'm kicked the bucket, when I'm dead. But what I can do is give him a choice. What I can do is give him choices of how to respond. Because responding to somebody that is close to you that's died is a choice. How you respond, how you feel is really a choice. What you focus on is a choice. And I remember asking the universe for assistance with this. And finally, 5 years later, the universe gave me an answer with my own father's death. I want to say that whenever you ask the question, whenever you ask the universe, how can I, what do I, you will always get an answer. And on the day of my own father's death, and I've written it extensively in my first book, is on that day, I felt a lot of emotions, but that emotion of sadness I did not feel. I felt a lot of emotions. I remembered, I felt close to, my memories were coming up, my memories of what he was as a father to me, and how later in his years, how he developed or had this disease of hydrocephalitis, which parallels Alzheimer's. And I've talked about it on the show before, but I need to remind my new listeners that the last 5 years of my father's life, even though he needed to be cared for, even though he needed to be in a daycare center, even though he needed to be finally in a home that he needed to be in diapers, couldn't walk, needed to be taken care of, were so fulfilling, because my father lost his ability to be judgmental. He lost his ability to compare himself with other people. He was in the moment in every sense of the word, and he was a joy to be around. He wasn't critical. He loved with open arms. He accepted. And so with all of that, when he finally did die, I was remembering who he was in the last 5 years. I also remembered who he was before the 5 years. However, the memories of being just an open heart and a person that was just loving unconditionally with everyone was really what I focused on. And let me get back to my student in the happiness class that asked me about how to respond, or no, I just asked me about how the sadness thing. Well, I spoke with her and I said, your response to this woman who has been giving 1 week to live is quite frankly a learned response. And I shared with her that what is, because she still, her friend still had a week to live, still, and I'm not sure if she is still around. I'll find out on Thursday, this coming Thursday, but she still has life, and she is able to visit her. And I said, when you are around people that are dying or close to death, how what is your priority? Really, seriously, what is your priority to bring support, to bring comfort, to bring strength, to bring what, and I'm asking the question, what do you think is your responsibility to those people that are dying? And I was asking her that because she kept talking about being sad. And I said that, do you think, now this is going to sound really, well, it's just the truth. I said, do you think that when you're around somebody that's dying and you're sad, and she says, well, I know I'm not supposed to shed tears when I'm around. I know I'm not supposed to cry and shed tears. And I'm saying, no, that's not really my point, because it depends on what kind of tears you're shedding. There is a different energy behind tears that are sad and tears that are sympathetic and tears that are I feel overwhelmed with your situation, and tears that are energy of I'm here to trust. Tears of trust, tears noticing that everything is happening in an order, and a final, quite frankly, surrendering to that order, and then smiling about it. Is it possible to smile when faced with a loved one's death? Now, I'm not talking about going in there and doing a jig and dancing a jig and jumping up and singing and dancing, but quite frankly, you could do that, because what my student told me is that as she sat with her longer and longer, that the sadness that she felt initially walking into that room shifted a little bit as her energy shifted. And she was able to have a conversation with her friend that is dying that made her laugh, made her smile, made her chuckle, made her feel lighter, even though death is around the corner. And her friend shared with her that is the best that she's felt since she received the news. I'm not saying that any of this is easy, my dear audience, but when you practice on a daily basis and you know without a doubt that everything that happens has a reason, and there is a purpose to all of this life, there is a purpose, including death. There is a purpose to that, and there is a reason for it. regardless of how it looks or feels to you, there is a sense of letting go and allowing and freedom to not only you, but the person that you are there for supporting. Now, it is a heavy topic. It is a heavy subject. It is something that, quite frankly, parents don't talk about with their children. But I felt a sense of duty and a sense of responsibility to my own son to at least be the example of another way to respond and to react. Now, there is another woman. I have a few people in the queue, and a few people want to say hello. I'm going to get to you in just 1 second, but I want to say that there was another woman in the class who said, who asked the question about suicide, and I'm thinking, okay, so this is a person that you know that committed suicide, but it turned out that it was a, quote, celebrity in another country. I guess she was a very famous Chinese writer in another country, and she committed suicide. And so the father of this famous writer said that he accepted his daughter's suicide. And so this woman is bringing up this topic of suicide in the class. And one of the things that I like to share with my students and my audience is when you're focused on anyone else, whether it's in other words, and especially people that you don't know, when you're focused on someone else and solutions for someone else, what all that is really a distraction. And I asked her point blank, I said, have you had a conversation or did you talk to your children? And her children are I think they're in their 40s. And I said, have you talked to your children about your own death? And her answer was no, I haven't. So there are all sorts of ways, when I say priorities, there's all sorts of conversations that she's very, and no judgments here, just talking, that she's very, she spent maybe 10 minutes of explaining this woman that she doesn't even know, but she's a famous author, but she's never had the conversation about her own death with her own children. And if you are a parent, I'm telling you right now, my hand is up in the air. If you are a parent, my dear audience, it is a responsibility, in my opinion, as far as raising your children or preparing your children for life and death and your own death. It is a job. It is a job that is not comfortable to talk about. I think it's less comfortable than the sex conversation to talk about, but it is a conversation that, in my opinion, needs to be expressed with your children. There are several ways to respond to death. There are cultures that respond to death in ways where they celebrate death, but just not here in the States. And so to know that you have choices is my point, to be able to choose a different way other than the way that society chooses, which is fine, but there is a different way to show, different way to be. It is a definite choice. Let me go to my first caller. Oh, I believe I know this number. Let me see if I'm right. Hold on a second. Welcome to Reality Spirituality. Is this Robert Sharp?
Yes, it is. It's Rebecca.
My God, I recognize the area code now. Yay. Hi, Robert. What's going on with you? Welcome to Reality Spirituality.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, good conversation that you're having or discussing.
Yes.
You know, it is really important. You know, I had a couple guests on shows talking about death and doing it. And, you know, one of the things that came up that was really interesting, you know, talking about that one woman who was really sad, you know, but who had that time, is but one of the experts I had on was talking about how important it is to, first of all, recognize and not try and mask the fact that death may be around the corner for an individual, because they're obviously very aware of that, and they may be in denial themselves, but they don't need additional denial, But one of the best things she said is to let the person know exactly how important they were to the person who's going to be surviving. It's like we all want to know that our life had a purpose. And, to let someone know that, I am better because you were a part of my life. These different times, share different times. These things will stay with me, when you're gone. These are things that I'm going to remember. So even though you may not be here, you're still going to be with me,
Wow. Now, that is really, when you were saying that, I got chills all over my body. Because what a wonderful thing to share with somebody on their deathbed is how much they touched my lives and how I felt, what in other words, what their purpose in my life, and how they either what I learned, how they elevated me, the memories that we shared. Very, very important. So now I'm going to take it to another level, because we don't need to wait until somebody's dying to say that. But I can imagine the peace that person that is dying, in that moment, that peace that they would feel, and like you said, purposeful.
Yeah. So anyway, that's, and for people who are fortunate enough to have time to do that, they should just be really thankful and grateful that they, have that opportunity. And you're right, you don't need to wait till that time, but particularly in that time, it's really difficult, because generally you will miss someone and you will be sad that they're not there, that you can't create more memories, but to let them know that, their life mattered, their memory will go on, in your memory, and, and that you made a difference. And, to me, that's the best gift that you can give anyone who is about to transition.
Okay, now you're bringing up something else, which you always do. Thank you so much. Tell my audience your show. You have a show on Blog Talk Radio, so just share with my audience really quickly where your show is and name of your show and when it airs.
Yeah, it's Bringing Inspiration to Earth, and it's usually Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Anyway, my website, biteradio.me, has a calendar with, a lot of different, because I have a lot of international guests coming up, and I adjust the time for them, because many times it's in the wee hours in the morning for them. So, but anyway, people can check the schedule for that. So.
Wow, it's an international guest. Jesus. Well, yeah, how cool is that? I love when that happens. Yeah, that's really interesting. What I wanted to say, you talked about going back to the death and sharing with the people. I also want to say that, yes, share with them before, and also this is going to sound, I don't know how it's going to sound, but there is a sense of fulfillment. Yeah, it is nice to hear from others how you have touched them, or how you've influenced them, or how you've, given them an energy shift or given them an idea that is very important. But I also want to share with my audience that it's important that you're able to do that yourself. In other words, you're able to feel a sense of purpose if nobody comes and visits you, if nobody is there to comfort you, because there are a lot of times when, listen, this is a solo journey. We come in this world alone and we leave it alone. And so it's it's really important that you can develop that sense of purpose, not only on your deathbed but prior to. One of my things that I've been saying for I don't know how long is my greatest gift to myself is being able to smile on my deathbed, and that's regardless if I've got somebody there with me or not. I am going to be able to smile because and how can I smile on my deathbed, and how can I feel purpose all by myself? And that is the practice, the daily practice of knowing that just by breathing, just by being here, not having to, and just by being yourself, my dear audience, just by being you, and I really mean that. It sounds cliche, but when you are expressing you in all of your glory, without this programmed, without this expressing who you think you need to be, but really being, my son uses this word, authentic. I'm not really an authentic user, but being you, being authentically you, that is all that matters. And when you can really look in the mirror and accept and be you and love and accept, and just like the universe accepts you, people, that is your purpose. You've accomplished it 1,000,000 times. And when you've been honest with self, not necessarily have to be honest with others, because that you don't have to do that, but when you're really honest with yourself, what do you think about them apples, Robert Sharp?
No, I agree. And it's the idea of a purposeful life, living purposefully. Basically being yourself and making a difference. And it could be making a difference to your neighbor, to a friend, to a stranger. I mean, it's just each and every day you have that opportunity. And if you do that consciously, like you're talking about, then yeah, when you get to that deathbed, it really doesn't matter if anybody is there or not, because you know what you did while you were alive.
Okay, so this is going to be a monkey wrench in it because I just have to do this. Yeah, I love the monkey wrench. Yeah, let me throw this in. What if you're not able to make a difference in anyone else's life? What if your life is spent in solitude in a freaking jail cell in South America somewhere? So what I want to say, and yes, listen, and I agree with everything that you said, but I also want to take it to another level because I don't know if I shared this with my audience, but my dear son was in prison for a day. Did I tell you that story, Robert?
No.
Yes. It's actually a badge of honor now. He went to jail for a day on a misdemeanor. I'm not going to say what it was, but it was a misdemeanor, and they dragged his ass to jail. And so we have that story now that we share because he was in jail, and he wasn't in solitude, but he was able to say, well, one thing was really go deep within, and could he find any peace in a jail cell? Just like Nelson Mandela, who spent, 30 years in a jail cell and found peace. And so I want to share with my audience that, yes, icing on the cake, making a difference to other people, but I also want to say that even being at peace with self, even in a jail cell, is another accomplishment or just a peace within. What about that movie? There's a movie, Robert. It's called Life is Beautiful, where the father and the son were in a concentration camp. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah. Well, the father wanted to his son. They were in a concentration camp, a Nazi concentration camp, and the father had the son believing that they were in a damn amusement park, not an amusement park, but gave him that sense. So what I'm saying is, yes, icing on the cake, others, yes, but it really comes down to how are you feeling in solitude? How do you feel if you're not able? What if you're in a hospital and you're confined, you're bedridden? So it really comes to that person in the mirror, and then the other stuff is just extra. What do you think about that, Robert? I really want your opinion.
Yeah, well, I agree that peace of self-peace is very important, obviously. It's really important, obviously, when you get, just even in daily life, the more peace with yourself and everything in your life, the better the experience. But
you're giving me a but?
Yes,
okay,
I am. I disagree with the idea that even if you're bedridden, even if you're in jail, that you can't make a difference for others. It could be a cellmate, it could be the guard, it could be correspondence with people in a hotel. If you're laid up in a hotel, it could be the hospital. It could be the hospital workers. It could be a patient next to you. Wait,
hold on a second, because I didn't say that you couldn't make a difference. No, we're not having a disagreement. You're absolutely right. You can make a difference. What I am saying is that you, the individual, is number one. Make a difference, number one, with you, and then everything. You can't help but make a difference. You are number one. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
I agree. And I'll take that one step further, that getting in peace with yourself can be achieved through helping others.
Okay. Oh, I'm going to put a stamp of approval on that, a stamp of agreement. Okay. Yes, there's a lot of fulfillment with that. There's a lot of fulfillment. Yeah. But I'm also going to add a little extra, because there is an interesting thing that I've met a lot of people in service of others. And sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes that service of others, and people have admitted it, is a distraction from really serving self and really looking in the mirror and doing the work and doing what's necessary to find peace. Because it's quite frankly, service of others, yes, but if you're still in unrest and just not peaceful, yes, you can get peace from service in the moment, but then when you come back, it really has to be. Not has to be, of course it doesn't have to be, but service to self in my life is number one, because I'm no good if I'm in disarray out there in the world and then other people. So, but because I remember listening to a woman, and she says her purpose is to help others. And her, behind the scenes, behind the curtain, there's a lot of disarray, but she's great at helping others. So I get what you're saying. You get what I'm saying. We always agree in the end that I'm right.
Yes. We always agree.
No. Come on. You know me.
Well, no, yes, I do. And the beauty of you is that you challenge people to think, and to question, those should, would, could, of life. And and that's really important for people to forge their own way, their own belief.
Well, thank. And you know what? And I love challenges, honestly, because without challenges, it doesn't make me think to a different level or another level. And what I wanted to say, it went right through my head. So my son was having a conversation with me a couple of days ago, and he was talking about, now he's into internal peace finally, after I've been preaching it for 10 million years, but that's neither here nor there. And I didn't say I told you so until he finished his conversation. No, I did. Well, we joke a lot. But anyway, And he talked about people that living in monasteries and people living in isolation and being at peace. And I just wanted to remind everyone that you never know what anybody's journey is. You never really know what their challenges are. I don't care if they're living in a monastery or if they're homeless. We all have challenges, and we all deal challenges or experiences with that are unique to us. And this uniqueness is the reason why I can't look at somebody else and put a judgment about what they're doing or how they're doing it. And we get back to this word, which is one of the most, for me, challenging, is accepting everyone, accepting all of everybody else's journey and everybody else's path, because it's not going to be mine. It's not going to be yours. So share a little bit about acceptance of others, and how can we do that, Robert?
Well, just dispense with judgment. It's just really important to allow everyone, the right to have their own journey, to make their own choices, to basically forge their own paths, and what's the most important thing is, and the only thing you're responsible for is your own, and forging your own path. And, a lot of times it can be easy to, look at others, like particularly those who appear to have a privileged life, and maybe because that's some of what they have. Whoops, sorry about that. I'm outside and the fire truck just decided to go.
I love it. Come on. This is Reality Spirituality. Go, fire truck.
There you go. And it doesn't happen. I'm in a remote spot.
I love it.
But, it was just for a fact. But, so, and it's just, really important to, just focus on yourself and don't judge, don't envy, don't covet, because, that, like you said, you just never know true scope of their life and what they're, involved in.
And this is something, let me just share with you. I've been given a, how the universe, well, at least the universe works for me. I mean, they're throwing crap at me left and right all the time. And this is going to get off the topic of death, which is fine. But I have a few people in the queue, but everybody seems like they like listening. They don't want to say hello, which is fine. But so I'm working with a new person in my office. I work in a law office. And this person is so interesting because he is loud. He uses foul language in the office. I mean, that's actually, you're not supposed to be using foul language in the office. He uses foul language. He's rude. He's short. He's politically incorrect. All of that, and it reminds me of actually me back in the day. But I don't think I was, on steroids, let's say that. It was me back in the day, and this guy's on steroids. And so I was assigned to work with him. Isn't this great? I was assigned to work with him. And just 2 days ago, he sends me 2 emails. And if you know me, you know that I take pride in my work outside of my spiritual growth. This is my work, my job. And so I take a lot of pride in what I do. Very, very conscientious. I'm very good at what I do, a legal assistant. And this genius sends an email to me and he says, Rebecca, I think you're confused, he used the word confused, with my instructions. And not only did he send an email to me, he sent an email to his supervisor, my supervisor, and their supervisor. So this is like all over the office, and I'm confused. Now, that was number one, because there were 2 emails. The second email he sent was, I'm sitting in my office, Rebecca. Now, I'm an assistant. He said, I'm sitting in my office, Rebecca, and I'm on an interview. He said, I just printed something out in the printer. Can you go and retrieve, he used that word retrieve, can you go out and retrieve that document for me and walk into my room, walk into my office quietly so that I can sign it? Now, hold on a second, audience. If you knew me or knew me 5 years ago, let's see, maybe 4 years ago, people, I would have blown a gasket. Number one, to say those things in that manner, if you want to use a label, condescending, you can use that. Disrespectful, if you want to use that word also. I'm telling you right now, years ago, this would have been World War III, IV, V, and VI. I would have had such a conniption, and I would have gone and attacked, on attack, and I usually win. I won. But Robert, let me say, with this practice of wanting to be at peace and happy, I knew that if I responded in any manner, in any way, that I wasn't going to be creating any kind of peace. Mm-hmm. I knew that what this person wanted was attention, negative attention, any kind of attention, drama, whatever, really wanted that. And trust me, people, I'm able to dish it out. If you can feel, I'm able to dish it out. Used to be. But what I decided to do, and if you ever want, don't tell anybody, audience, but if you ever want a weapon against anybody else that is condescending, disrespectful, mean, and all the other things you want to label it, this is what you do. You kill them with kindness. You kill them with kindness, and you do not give attention to any of their negativity at all. So 0 attention, but an overdose of kindness. That's what I did on Friday. That's what I plan on doing for the rest of my stint working with this person, because kindness kills. I tell that story. Robert, have you seen that video? It's on YouTube of Gary Ridgway. Do you know who Gary Ridgway is?
Yeah, but I haven't seen the video. I don't really.
Oh, okay, so go on YouTube, all my audience. It's less than 2 minutes. It's on YouTube, and it's Gary Ridgway. Gary Ridgway was the Green River killer. He killed like 80, 70 women.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Green River killer. So go on YouTube and Google and search for Green River killer cries. This is at his sentencing. Now, this man showed no remorse for killing those women, and at his sentencing, family members were able to talk to him and speak to him live in the courtroom. And it shows that, women get up and damn him. You go to hell, burn in hell. Just die. You're evil. You're the devil. Family member after family member after family member yelled at him and just cursed him to death. And he sat there stone-faced, not one expression, until one man whose daughter was killed, he killed his daughter, got up. He actually has a white beard. He looked like Santa Claus. He got up and he says, Mr. Ridgway, you know what, I'm not even going to tell you exactly what the man said, because that's kind of ruining the thing, but I'll tell you this. This man showed kindness to the serial killer, and you go on YouTube and you find out what that serial killer did. He is broken, visibly shaken and broken, because this man showed kindness. It's difficult practice, but if you really want to kill somebody that's universal, yes. So that's that. I guess that's the end of the show. I mean, I'm talked about everything from death to how to kill somebody with kindness, how to kill her. Yeah, and so really watch that. It's very, very, very powerful.
I'll check it out.
Okay. Well, Robert, did you have anything else to say? I'm going to wrap up the show. I can't believe it's already an hour.
No. Anyway, I just wanted to call in. I didn't expect to be chatting this long, but it's always a wonderful experience to be able to chat with you.
Well, thank you so much, and I will be blabbing or do our test blabbing. We are going to be doing a blab, Robert and I. We don't know exactly when, but we're going to do a test run today at noon my time, so I look forward to that.
Absolutely, yeah. People will be able to see us in this little
conversation. Oh, that means makeup. I have to put makeup on. I have to put a little bit of makeup, as my grandmother would say. A little lipstick, a little paint makes you what you ain't.
Okay. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Talk to you soon. All right, everybody. So that was Reality Spirituality Day, and yes, we talked about death and happiness, and thank you so much, Robert, for contributing to the show and adding some very important points. Reality Spirituality is heard every Sunday at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can go to my website at RebeccaNorrington.com. You can email me at info@RebeccaNorrington.com. Go to Facebook and like Reality Spirituality's Facebook page. And I want you to remember, my dear audience, this journey, the journey that you're on, is an individual journey. You are special. You are unique. You are on your own path to discover yourself, who you are, not necessarily to do something with it, but just to be yourself. Remember, you are a physical extension of the universe. You're always changing. You're always growing. Love is patient and love is kind. Be patient and be kind to yourself. Be your own best friend. As Abraham says, you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. It is about the journey. Thank you so much for listening. You've been listening to Reality Spirituality with Rebecca Lynn Norrington. Talk to you again next week. Yeah.
Now it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's the new experience. Reality Spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one, man. Reality Spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Reality Spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby. Reality Spirituality. Oh, now we get real. Reality Spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get down. Yeah, you gonna feel good now, real good. Now, that's what I'm talking about. Time to get real.